Chris with another top-down review here, and today we're going to talk about The Snowman. So, The Snowman is the new thriller movie starring Michael Fassbender based on this Norwegian thriller novel that was written by Joe Nesbo and directed by Thomas Alfredson, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, so The Snowman, I will say this before I actually get into the bulk of this review. The Snowman suffers from what I think some movies have fallen into. The trailer depicts it as one thing, and when we actually see it in theaters, it's completely different. Like, I got the vibe when I saw the trailer for this movie that this was going to be a high-stakes cat and mouse thriller that was going to have Michael Fassbender like trying to outwit this killer at his own game, and it was like they were like intellectual equals, and it would go and end up in this big huge showdown towards the end, and everything would be resolved like so spectacularly. Well, didn't really happen that way. So Michael Fassbender plays this detective, which is based on the book character that the movie's based on, called Harry Hole, and he basically is responsible for tracking down this killer who is basically put snowmans everywhere. Now, I will say that in the trailer they actually name the killer the Snowman Killer, but in the movie no one ever really calls him the Snowman Killer. They just say that there's a killer and he's leaving snowmans everywhere. So they never really mention Snowman Killer by name. They just say he's a killer that's leaving snowmans and he's killing people. Now, the whole motivation for why this Snowman Killer is doing his whole things has to go with the beginning of the movie. You find out that he, as a child, didn't really know his father, and because of that his mom committed suicide in a lake, and she froze to death as the car sunk. And then he grows up later, and then he starts like messing with Michael Fassbender and messing with other people's family, and Michael Fassbender kind of has to put the different pieces together. Now, as far as putting the pieces together of the story, I will say the movie itself has a lot of narrative problems, personally. Like, there'll be a scene when Michael Fassbender's like in the car and he's thinking about the killer, and then it flashbacks to another scene where it's like, 9 years earlier or whatever. And then we go to Val Kilmer's character, who's also a detective, also in Norway, in a completely different place, and he's investigating something that's happening similarly to, I guess, also at the same time the same killer as Michael Fassbender, but it's different in a way. But just going back and forth between Val Kilmer and Michael Fassbender was just jarring, because I thought, what's the point of showing Val Kilmer's character if there's no real connection to it? I just thought that was a little jarring. And the movie has these bunch of different characters that are just all over the place. I mean, J.K. Simmons is in this movie, Rebecca Ferguson is in this movie, and freaking Mon Mothma from Star Wars Episode 3 and Rogue One are in this movie. Did they really add anything to this movie? I will say Rebecca Ferguson did. Did I like the direction that they took her character in? Not really. I thought that she died off way too soon, and that was kind of the thing that I didn't really like about it. I felt like her character had so much more growth, and then they kind of smashed that away for us by killing her. Now, whether or not that happened in the actual book, I'm not 100% sure. I can't really give you a good book-to-movie interview having not read the book, but basing just on the movie, I felt like we could have seen her character more. J.K. Simmons, I felt like he really didn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't really explain the whole purpose that he has with taking pictures of these girls. There's one scene where this girl comes and removes her top, and then J.K. Simmons takes a picture of her and then just walks away. Same thing happens when Rebecca Ferguson comes up to him and just starts talking, and then he just takes a picture of her face. Doesn't make him remove her top, but, it's interesting as to why he does this whole process, and then at one point you think maybe he's the killer, but no, he isn't. And when it comes down to like the final resolution or like the final climactic scene of this movie, it just ends up being like a little bit of a chase, and Michael Fassbender's just like sitting there on this frozen lake, and you think like, oh yeah, this is going to be some big showdown that's going to happen and everything, and he ends up getting shot or whatever, and you think, oh no, now they're going to hash it out right there on the frozen lake, and maybe they'll both kill each other or something. No, I mean, the guy just literally walks up to him with a gun, and he falls through the ice, and that's the end of the Snowman Killer. It's a very easy way of dealing with him. I mean, I get he's been messing with Michael Fassbender the whole movie, but I feel like they could have had like more of a better hero versus antagonist moment, personally, just according to me. But the Snowman was a lot different than I had expected to be. It wasn't really scary so much. It was more of a thriller, sort of, but I felt like there was a lot of missing pieces. Going back and looking at the trailer, I noticed there were that not only was the movie advertised as something else, but it feels like it cut out scenes. And now, reading about the movie from the own director's point of view and saying that there were problems with this movie only buries the nail further into the coffin for the Snowman. So the Snowman, is it really worth your time seeing? Probably not. I saw it for free, so probably not worth a watch. Do I regret watching it? No. I mean, Michael Fassbender at this point, he's a great actor, but I think these days, for some odd reason, either just the movies he's picking are bad, or just he's having the worst luck. I mean, literally, there is a lot of talent. The director has talent. The actors in this film clearly have talent. I've seen them all in much, much better things than this. But as for what went on with this movie, whether it was just narrative problems or just trying to make a cohesive story that did service to the novel, I'm not 100% sure. But I will honestly say that The Snowman is probably not going to be worth your time or your money. If anything, I would just watch a review for it. In fact, I am pretty convinced that the book would probably be more interesting. Because apparently this book is based on a whole bunch of other is a series that also fits in the Harry Hole character into other books and everything. So it's kind of like The Bourne, but Norway, and he's a detective, sort of. So let me know if you guys ended up actually seeing The Snowman. Let me know what you thought about it. If you think that Michael Fassbender's career is not really doing so hot after this movie, which I don't think it should. I mean, I don't dislike Michael Fassbender. I think he's a great actor, and he's great at his craft. It's just his decisions as far as filmmaking and all that, whether it's Assassin's Creed or this, hasn't really been up to par. So let me know what you guys thought about The Snowman. Let me know what you think Michael Fassbender should tackle that is not this. And I think my next review, it will probably not be till next month. Hopefully gonna do Justice League, maybe Murder on the Orient Express, and the new Guillermo del Toro movie, hopefully as well. But I will see you guys in the next review. I'm Chris from Top Down Reviews, and adios.